Welcome to your first lecture in Introduction to General Chemistry. Now, especially this first part as we go along, oftentimes students go, oh, I totally get that, and that's what I'm hoping for. Actually, I'd love that throughout the semester. We're going to talk about matter and how we classify matter. For instance, then, I guess kicking off before we talk more about matter, this class chemistry and any chemistry class you take is a study of the basic elements. And of course, for instance, if I told you I have an element and it's the symbol O, you might tell me that's oxygen, and you would be right. Okay. The symbol C stands for carbon. Okay, those are different elements. And we're going to talk about the periodic table, which is a cool way to organize all the different elements that there are. But the other thing about chemistry is we talk about how these elements join together to make, in a repeating unit, we call a compound. So, for instance, we could take carbon and oxygen, and I might ask you, if carbon monoxide is something we don't want to breathe, what is the formula for that compound, carbon monoxide? And you might do this. You might say it's CO, and that's one carbon and one oxygen. That's an example of a compound. All carbon monoxide molecules have that same repeating unit. If I were to ask you what's the formula for H2O, you would probably tell me this. Oh, sorry. What's the formula for water? You would tell me it's H2O, where we have two hydrogens and one oxygen that are stuck together in a repeating unit. Okay. All right. So in this part, we're going to classify matter. So matter is made up of atoms, and that's actually a note on the title of a figure on the next slide, but all matter is made up of atoms, and matter can be classified. We're going to talk about the classification of matter. But one of the things that matter has in common, it's made up of atoms, it has to occupy space. Okay, its volume is a certain amount, atoms are, or matter is, and it needs to have mass. So matter is made up of atoms, and all atoms occupy space and have mass. So here's a picture of some matter, okay, and here I like the figures in this textbook, and I'm going to show you here an image of trying to get, these are figures, but here in a minute I'm going to show you an image of just atoms, so I think that is so cool. So these are all aluminum atoms, okay, and it's making up this aluminum can. Notice that they are nice and close together. We're going to see that solids have that in common. Cute little atoms are close together in solids, and as I'm drawing kind of those red dashes there, we need to talk about what is it that keeps those atoms together to make this can a solid. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Over here we have actually a compound. This is ethanol. Let's see if I can get this right. Yeah, C2H6O, I think. Okay, and ethanol looks like this. Those little red things are oxygens. So we have an OH, that's a hydroxyl group, and it is connected to a carbon. We have another carbon and kind of a methyl group over here. These are hydrogens. Okay, so that is ethanol. And so we're going to call this a molecule coming up. Okay, molecule. And you probably heard of the word molecule. Molecule is a piece of a compound. All right. So all matter is made up of atoms, and all matter has mass and occupies space. And we can kind of see that there. Now the pictures that I promised you, this is actually, this is a photograph taken by a fancy instrument. We definitely don't have one of these in our lab, but kind of what you're looking at here are the different atoms, kind of the outside part of the atom that is sending back a signal so this image can be taken. Now, we're going to talk about atoms, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, but you might tell me that atoms have, this is a symbol for what? An electron. Atoms have electrons out here, and atoms have a center that actually has protons. I'll put a little P there. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Let me put 4 P's there to equal my E's. Okay, so there's 4 protons, and let me throw in a few neutrons in the nucleus too. Let me go ahead and put in 4. I kind of like putting equal. Okay, so my point here, and we're going to be talking more about this black thing is the nucleus. All right. Now, one of the things, and I'll try to fix this when we come to it, but you see those where I've drawn around that purple? That's the electrons. The electrons are nowhere really that close to the nucleus at all. The electrons are way out here. So my point with this image is, as I'm looking at it, it's the electrons that are kind of making this sort of hump here. It's the electrons that kind of make the outside of an atom. Is that not cool or what? Okay, so one more picture. For you biologists out there, you might recognize this helix structure of DNA. And DNA is totally awesome. I don't know a whole lot about it because I'm not a biologist, but it has these, I know it has chemical bonds and what we call intermolecular bonds, hydrogen bonds, kind of keeping this important biological structure in place. So here we're, I guess, just to kind of, again, I don't know a lot about it, but these kind of bumps right here, these would be kind of showing you where the atoms are that are connected together to make these biomolecules